just on their own, and the teacher will observe. And then it's co-teaching, and I forget how many hours they spend that second year. So that's a 2-year cycle of really, and so that has a huge impact on a teacher. They learn all these, they get to have these rich experiences, and then they have a one-on-one arts bridge scholar. And then now what Callie is working on, and she feels like, yeah, we're losing all these teachers, we're investing in all these teachers. What happens to them after that? Who's supporting them? Who's encouraging them to keep using the arts? So she's working on, I'm on a steering committee at BYU and with this arts partnership, and they were looking at how we can keep those teachers motivated, alive in the arts, using the arts. So anyway, so that's a very successful model. As far as me, as in my role as like an arts integration coach for under the model, the BTS grant, it's me going in and finding teachers that will let me model a lesson for them, and then me sitting with them planning a lesson where we co-teach, and then me watching them teach a lesson by themselves that we plan together, and then giving them feedback. So, and then just keeping in touch, so, and encouraging them, listening to them, going in and saying, hey, my students are having a really hard time learning about the contents. What can we do in dance or theater, music or visual art about the contents? And so hopefully they'll come to me and say, I've got this problem, they're not getting it, teaching in the normal way, so what can we do with the arts to help them learn? So
that's really great. That's awesome.
It's a lot of one-on-one.
Yeah. Which takes a lot of time and that's needed. Perfect. So what advice would you give somebody who's new to advocating dance? What would be some of the top advice you'd give them?
Is it someone that's going to be going in and trying to meet? It depends on what their role is. Is it a dance teacher in a new school, or is it someone who's trying? That's a hard question because I'm not sure
of which role?
Yeah.
Let's see. Role of let's see, because most of my classmates were all dancers, and then probably just the bridge of taking your dance training and advocating the creative side of dance and having them be the teachers in the districts.
So would they go in and say to a principal, make an appointment with the principal and say, I have this to offer, but is it a volunteer or they want a job? They want a job. Because see, so what you're asking is, I know, so what you're asking though is that, okay, if there's a position in which you will get, like on a secondary level, every secondary school has, dance position, but on an elementary level, that's just not, you're not going to find listed, except for here at this school, a job description as a dance instructor.
Okay.
Here at Provo Peaks, the 4th and 5th graders, the 5th and 6th graders have every Tuesday and Thursday a fine art class at the end, that 1 hour block at the end of those 2 days, where they got to choose. We have Chelsea McNeil, who's from BYU. She teaches dance. We have Haley Flanders, who's teaching drama. We have 2 visual art teachers, and we have a band instructor. We have an orchestra teacher, and we have a choir teacher. So they had 7 classes that they got to choose from, except for the 5th graders. They couldn't choose band because it's only offered to 6th grade. But so Chelsea was able to apply, but she didn't need to advocate for that position because we wanted that.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if there's an answer for that question about saying how can me as a dancer go into a school and say, hey, you need me. Because number one, the principal's not going to have the money to pay you. That's already set apart, right, for that job position. It's funny though, because we had a family party last night, and I talked to one of my nieces, niece-in-law, and she's a vocal coach, and she's performed a ton, and she's worked with hundreds of singers throughout the world, actually. But she was living in Denver for a while. Her family was living in Denver for a while, and she actually went to the Denver school district and said, your high schools are, I could do this, 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 and she offered her time and everything, volunteer, free, to go in and set up this program. And they said, sorry, no.
Jeez, I didn't get the offer, huh?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for your question, because
No,
I
that's
don't
good.
know.
No, that's good to
Unless,
know, too, that
here's
it's not
something you could
really
do.
an
Let's say,
option.
yeah, let's say that you know a principal. Let's say you go back to your elementary school, and maybe your principal remembers you, maybe it's the same principal, maybe not, or whatever. But let's say they live in your neighborhood or something, okay, and you know a principal. Let's say you go to their school, and you know they aren't doing any dance at all. So one thing you could do is go, hey, I have this much time this week, this all through the year on this day. I have an open schedule, and would you let me just come in and work with any teacher who wants me, who's willing to let me do dance
Collaborate with
recipes?
them, yeah.
And just maybe one teacher for that year, because it's going to be volunteer, right?
Yeah.
And just watch what happens. See what happens with that class that year. And then I want you to consider hiring me full-time. Of course, see, that still wouldn't happen. They'd have to. So one thing they could do, though, like let's say it's in Provo. In Spanish work, in Nebo, none of the schools in Nebo would be able to do this. But a principal in Provo, if you did that with them, and they're a non-BTS school, like let's say you went to the Provo Peaks area. You could come to Provo Peaks area, but Gio is already interested in becoming a BTS school. So let's say you go to, come on, Chris, what's it called, Sunset View. Sunset View's been a tough school for me to get into and work with that principal. But so let's say you go to Sunset View and you say that to that principal. You know the principal. And so what that principal could do is come to me or come to whoever is in my position or go to the person who's over the BTS program for the district and say, hey, I want to be a BTS school. I want to hire, this person, Jocelyn Wade, I want to hire her. She said, but one thing you'd have to do, though, to be hired is you have to meet all the BTS requirements.
Gotcha.
Which you have to have you have to have a teaching license, I think. I'm sorry, I don't know all the requirements for a BTS specialist, but anyway.